Hello everybody, hope you're doing okay. Welcome to St Peter ad Vincula Church in Colemore in East Hampshire. I just happened to find this church when it was open and it's convenient at the lectern point here to give a lecture perhaps on my 2025 shoes. Now I've ordered 30 pairs this year and I found all the ones I had in the car. So we'll just do a whistle-stop tour through each of them and I'll say one or two good things about each shoe and any negative points. So the one in third place is the Zoomfly 6. I've done 107 miles in them this year and 190 miles altogether. The good thing is I found these a very good racer trainer type shoe, good for doing sessions, good for doing long runs, had a bit of stiffness to it and support, which at the time when I really needed it with my Achilles was good, nice heel flare at the back there. The negatives I thought, well, after 190 miles, I thought it's just maybe on the way out now, it just felt a bit flat last time. The outsole looks perfectly good, but yeah, maybe I need to get another pair and see how they compare. In second place is the Adios Pro 4 at 140 miles. Now, this is a shoe that's really meant for racing, but I found this a very good all-purpose shoe, really. I think this is my Evo SL. I've actually had the Evo SL a bit further down the list, which I've now passed on to Andy Rayner, FOD runner. But I think this is the one that I much prefer. I think I just prefer that extra lightness in this shoe. It's a nice, comfortable upper, virtually nothing at the back there at the Achilles tab. And the only downside with it is the UK 14, which is half a size more than I normally take. And it's just a bit heavier than some of the other racing shoes. A very soft shoe, you need to get used to that as well. But now when I do any type of run, it provides some comfort, but maybe a bit of instability there on your ankle, so you need to be a bit careful. The outsole is working out very well. It's this new light traction material and the continental bit there, which is normally famed for Adidas shoes. There's only a little patch there when you kind of like toe off. But I find this very light and very hard wearing, so definitely a win there from Adidas. So in ninth place is perhaps the most exciting shoe around at the moment, the Puma Faster Nitro Elite 3. I've done 47 miles in these, including 2 races, and 2 of my best races in recent years actually, a 5-mile race and a 5K in 1906. So yeah, I just find that these probably are the fastest shoe around at the moment, and maybe even, dare I say it, they're actually possibly faster than the Vaporfly 1. Although it's hard now to be really sure because I think some of my Vaporflies are a bit sort of old, and this is like a brand new shoe as it were. So I was sort of trying to keep this one back a bit. I've done a few sessions in it, but I haven't sort of like worn it a bit sparingly. So I think I would have worn it a lot more, but I think I'll probably try and get a second pair. And then when I've got a second pair, I'll probably start using this a bit more. Just feels like fast. When you get it on, you just really want to bounce forward with it. And yeah, it had this sort of really odd bit here, which you think, is this actually doing anything or not? But it's a shoe that you put on and instantly you feel like you just want to go. And it's not ultra soft like, say, the Pro 4 or the Saucony one either. But yeah, it's a nice combination these days between being firmish and softish as well. So it's certainly comfortable for sure. And certainly feels like you want to go. It just feels a bit odd when you start wearing it, but you soon get used to it. And if after a while it actually feels quite natural, I think, to actually wear it. I think it just gets up in your toes a bit more, which is the sort of thing I do anyway. So perhaps that just suits my style. Now, perhaps a bit of a surprise, or maybe not a surprise if you know that I'm a bit of a Vaporfly fan. My most used shoe so far in 2025 is the Vaporfly 4 here. 169 miles. The good thing about this shoe, it's so light. Apart from the Streakfly, it's the lightest shoe that I currently use, just over 220 grams. It fits quite well with this minimal upper and just a shoe that I just like to wear. The only downside to it is I didn't find it the best shoe actually in a race. I'm finding a much more better shoe as a session shoe, maybe the ultimate sort of super trainer. But you might argue that's a lot of money to spend on a shoe which is like £220 just to do sessions in. But yeah, I think you have to remember in my size, UK 13, that a shoe that is 220 grams is really a revelation. And now I struggle with the really heavier shoes. Oddly, it's a shoe that I've actually been using for warm-ups. What I tend to do in the last few races is do like about a 1K threshold around about, say, a 4-minute pace, just under a 20-minute pace, something like that. I've done that before a few races, and I've used these for that and then put on either the Streakfly or the Pumas. And it's been good for that. And in fact, when I put on the Pumas after this, it felt like so much easier. which you shouldn't do really, but it's just a shoe that I wore on the train, did a few easy jog, did that threshold, and then go into the Puma shoe. Perhaps it's not quite the idea from Nike. Perhaps you should be using this for the race, but yeah, it's just a bit odd. In terms of the wear, well, it's a bit sort of grey in there. Things a bit start to peel away a bit there, aren't they? But 170 miles there. You can see where I normally toe off. It's getting a bit threadbare there, but I think it'd be good for at least another 50 miles. I might try and buy another pair, see if I can pick up a bargain. But yeah, I don't think the Vaporfly 4 has been quite the excitement that the Vaporflies used to have, but there's just so much choice now, and a lot of people don't really like Nike because either the fact they don't like Nike full stop, or they find them too narrow, or they've got some other issue with them. But yeah, for me, it's still a very valuable shoe. So yeah, in summary, the Vaporfly 4 is the shoe that I've used the most, and it's a shoe that you kind of always feel like I have to keep going back to. As I said, it's not perhaps the best out-and-out racer these days, but it's such a good shoe to have, so light. Let's now have a look at some of the other shoes going down the order. So in fourth place is the Pegasus Plus here, which I've done 70 miles in. I've actually got 2 pairs of these, so my overall total in them all together, I think not this year, but a bit of last year and a bit of this year is about 150 miles. I was a bit disappointed in this one in a way. Maybe the fact that I don't think it was quite as light as the Turbo 2, and I don't know, just sort of feel like now a shoe like this, it's not bad, but you feel like you want a bit of stiffening agent in it. It's very flexible. And they do say it had a bit of ground feel, which I think in a way is quite nice because someone who likes to do a bit of track races and gets up on my toes, I like a bit of that. But sometimes I kind of feel that, yeah, perhaps I want a bit more under me when I'm going out on a sort of more easier day. Another shoe perhaps from Nike that works better the faster you go. So a good shoe, but maybe just a bit of air of disappointment with it. Now in fifth place is the shoe that I don't actually have anymore, which is the Evo SL, which I've done 64 miles in, which I passed on to Andy, FOD runner. So I'll substitute an Adios 9 here for a picture of Andy with my beloved, or no, not beloved, Evo SLs. So it's a shoe that I really tried to like, but yeah, it seems to be everyone's favorite this year. Or it's either someone's favourite, so like the best shoe they've ever had, or it's not. So I think I was one of those people that it was okay, but I was thinking, well, I just sort of really struggled with the fact it had sort of really aggressive rocker. I felt like I was literally rocking up and down when I was in the shoe, and it wasn't the lightest of shoes. It was around about 300 grams for me, which is okay, but I didn't feel like it was like amazing. And what sort of shoe was it really for? I don't know. I just sort of felt like the fit wasn't perfect. It was just a shoe that was like full of hype, and I really like to like it, but yeah, I just didn't quite feel like it was the really one when I actually put it on that I actually enjoyed running in it. So I thought, well, Andy loved them so much, and I thought, well, I'll charge him a nominal fee to post it over to him, and he gets a bit more love out of it. What do you think about the Evo SL? Is it a shoe you think is the best ever, like some people do, or you think it's a shoe that is sort of overhyped and you don't quite understand what the fuss is about? Sixth place at 63 miles comes the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 3. This is another shoe that Andy loves, and I quite like it, but I mean, in terms of like a race shoe, I don't feel like this is really a shoe I really want to race in. It just doesn't feel like anywhere near as great as the Fast R from Puma, and compared to all my other race shoes, it's kind of like, yeah, it's okay. It just feels like the ultimate sort of like racer trainer type one for me. I've done a few sessions in it and a few sort of like up-tempo runs, and it's all right, but I just sort of feel like it's sort of a bit boring, if anything. I mean, it's quite a shoe that feels quite natural on foot as much as it can be. I do find that it sort of struggles a bit when I sort of like been in it a while. I start to sort of feel a bit uncomfortable. Maybe a bit of rubber in the Achilles there. I think a few other people have said, like Dawn Broom mentioned that, I think. But yeah, it's okay, but yeah, I just don't think it's a top tier shoe, especially now that Puma have got the Fast R Nitro Elite 3. Now in seventh place at 51 miles, which I've got to very quickly, is the Endorphin Speed 5. If you saw my review of it, I said it was refreshingly familiar, but perhaps also sort of depressingly familiar. But I think having now worn it for that 51 miles, I think I'm actually starting to really enjoy it, and I think I'm starting to realise why I'm missing the Endorphin Speeds. I haven't worn them for a while, and say compared to the Evo SL or the Rebel V5, which I had to send back with no miles on the clock. It was just too wide for me. I just feel this is a shoe that just works better for me. I think there's a bit more structure to it. You've got this nice elf here, and it's sort of quite flexible with the nylon plate, but it just gives a bit back. So I kind of feel it's a shoe that wants to go, basically can do anything. I've been out for easy plods in this, I've been out for long runs in this, I've done a session in it, and a bit of up-tempo work. And yeah, it just seems to be sort of that do-it-all trainer, which is not particularly great at anything, but it just seems to be working quite well. And I think I'm quite liking the fit now. So I think that perhaps of all the Endorphin speeds, people keep saying, oh, the 1 and 2 are the best, but have they really tried the ones recently? And are they really comparing shoes now that are out on the market with what was there 5 years ago, in a bit of sense of, yeah, sometimes, what's the thing, rose-tinted glasses, isn't it? So I think this is a good shoe for me. Maybe £180 retail, it's a bit expensive, but yeah, if you're not getting on with the Evo SLs and stuff like that and used to like the speeds, then definitely check out the Speed 5. I think it's one of the best ones for sure. In 8th place is the Novablast 5, which is a shoe that I've actually got 2 pairs of. Sorry, I managed to order one and didn't think it was coming, then ordered another one and didn't end up sending that other one back. I left another pair in Portugal. And I quite like this one, but I haven't actually worn it for a while. So most of this 50 miles were actually early on in the year. I feel it's a shoe that's it's kind of a shoe that's quite light, but it's actually sort of feels heavy. It's quite stiff, actually. It's a lot stiffer than the Endorphin Speed 5 with a plate in it. So yeah, just to feel like a shoe that, what purpose does this really serve for me? I think now it's sort of like a lightweight-ish sort of plodder, but yeah, I do find a bit of rub sometimes on the back here as well. I'm not sure it's the most sort of best there, but yeah, it's not a bad shoe, but yeah, perhaps one I'm not that bothered about wearing. So probably it's the one I'll just sort of wear now and again now. So in 10th place is the Adios 9 with 43 miles, very much a throwback to the old days of the flats, but a very much a modern take on it. It's got the Light Strike Pro here, which I think is the new stuff, the sort of slightly softer stuff that you see in the Adios Pro 4. But because there's a lot less of it, you feel a lot lower to the ground. It's not quite as bouncy like it is in the Pro 4 because you don't have the rods either. But yeah, if you want a shoe that sort of practiced getting you into spikes and doing sessions on it, and I also found a bit of a nice niche for it on off-road. I did an off-road park run in it. I did that 10-mile run, which was like half trail, half road. So yeah, good shoe for that sort of thing. But yeah, I think I just need to be a bit cautious of the fact that it is a bit lower and you need to get used to that fitting. Really nothing at all at the back there. And again, it's got this light traction outsole and the continental bit there. So very much like a baby Pro 4 without the rods and less of it. Now, I've gone from one extreme to the other. In 11th place is the Pegasus Premium here at 36 miles. I think this is a shoe that I really wanted to like, but it is so heavy. It's about 420 grams in my size, and it is absolutely quite rigid. It actually feels like almost like a stability shoe, because when you go running in it, it feels like you've got a very sort of motion control shoe on almost. So yeah, even though there's a lot of tech in here, you've got the full-length airbag, you've got the Zoom X, and it's actually, people complain, I was reading the comments, actually quite narrow. I suppose because I got very narrow feet, although very long narrow feet, so my width is probably still wider than most people. Actually fits me reasonably well, but as you can see, I've got the tongues tucked in there reasonably well, so it's not exactly an ultra narrow shoe for me. And the outsole is doing okay. I know Robin from Road to Trail was almost worn his away, but I think it's just about surviving. But yeah, it's a shoe that I wore the other day and it was all right, but yeah, you feel like you need a bit of leg strength training in this one. But yeah, it looks okay. The other problem I had in it, I was actually scuffing my heels with it and I actually managed to fray it there, just on the kickback. I've never done that in a shoe before. I think it's because it's just so much at the back there in terms of like the actual sort of sheer weight of it and stuff like that. So yeah, it's on with the Pegasus and these new lines of Nike, because they have sort of like their icon shoe, like the regular Pegasus and the Pegasus Plus and the Pegasus Premium. You kind of think this should be the ultimate running shoe, but it's a sort of a crossover between a lifestyle shoe and a running shoe. And it's a shoe that you definitely can run in it, but it's just so heavy. And when you get used to the Vaporfly 4s at 220 odd grams, and this is like 420, you basically almost got like 2 shoes on for the price of 1, as it were. So yeah, in that sense, you feel like, yeah, you really have to know what you're getting in for when you're buying this shoe for sure. In 12th place is one of my old faithfuls, the Vaporfly 1. This is one of probably my newest pair. I've done 36 miles this year. I've actually used these for 3 races, a 10K road race, a 5K road race, and a park run. So yeah, getting good use out of these. I was a bit disappointed in my last partner, I think, but that was like a trail one, so I think I wasn't feeling that great these days. So I think, yeah, now I've sort of had the choice between the Fast-Style Pumas and this one. I kind of feel like I've got 2 good shoes there to really hope for my best race day. So I'll probably just reserve this one now for races. Sort of a bit of debate about how far you can go in the Pumas, whether I would want to do a 10 mile or a half marathon in it. Not that I've really got any plans to do that at the moment, but Vaporflies are just so reliable. But it's interesting now that the Puma one is actually over 20 grams lighter than this. So yeah, there's a time this was the lightest shoe I had in terms of racing shoes. This is around about 250 compared to about 225 in the Pumas and about 222 in the Vaporfly 4. So yeah, weight isn't everything, but it all helps, doesn't it, for sure. So yeah, very dependable shoe, and this is now 6 years old, and I've still got a load of pairs and that I'll be working through. 13th place is the Puma Velocity Nitro 3. I sort of came back to this shoe because I used it a lot last year. So it's probably done about 170 miles now altogether. I think it's a nice shoe. It's sort of nice and narrow for me. I think all Puma shoes are relatively narrow. People will complain about that, but if you've got narrow feet, then obviously that's a good thing. I kind of feel this is kind of a basic shoe, and when I last wore it, I could sort of certainly feel like you pay your money and take your choice with this one. I mean, I think you've got a combination here of the Nitro foam with a bit of sort of the effective EVA stuff. So yeah, it's a good fitting shoe, and you have a bit of ground feel, very sort of basic shoe by this modern day standards. I'm interested to see what the Velocity Nitro 4, which is sort of coming onto the market now, whether I'll pick that one up and compare it. People continue to be quite excited about it. So I think this is certainly a good shoe, this one, but certainly a workhorse shoe, and it's the sort of shoe that you feel that if you want to get some miles in a non-plated, non-assisted shoe, then this is the one. And if you like a Pegasus regular one, I'd say this is the closest to that from another brand. So 14th place is the Saucony Endorphin Elite 2. I've just done 25 miles in this one. Really a bit of a wild shoe, this one. It really is unstable. You seem to be wobbling all over the place with it. It's even softer than the Adios Pro 4. Although I've done a couple of good sessions in it. I think when you're really on it, it actually feels quite a fast shoe, but I just don't feel like you would want to wear this one for too long. I know a lot of people say, oh, I can't wear a shoe because when I break down in a marathon, I'll be rubbish. Well, I think, well, there's an element that you won't break down if you put in the training and do that. But I think with this one, I think there's so many other shoes that I would take before this for the marathon. I've done all my recent marathons in the Vaporfly 1. So chances are at the moment, I think I'd either go Vaporfly 1 or the Puma Fast-Style Nitro Elite 3. Just seems to be a shoe that, yeah, if you're off form and collapse, well, that's the end of your race anyway, isn't it? I think you want a shoe that's going to do your best rather than worry about if you collapse, because the idea is you not to. But this one, yeah, very wild, and not quite sure what Saucony are thinking with this one, because it seems to have gone out of people's radar for sure. So I'm interested to see whether this foam appears in any of the other stuff. 15th place is the Vomero 18 at 24 miles. This is a shoe that I was sort of keen to get because it's a Nike shoe, but I'd have to say this is a bit of a tank, really. Although it's slightly lighter than the Pegasus Premium, I think this is really good for nothing more for me than just going very slowly. I tried to do some strides in it after a run when I first got it, and that was very hard work. Normally I feel I can do strides in anything, but this one, well, you can do it, but it felt like it had a lot of shoe on. Again, I mean, have you seen some of the premium and plus versions of the Vomero? They seem to be going like for a massive stack and full zoom out. So I think it was like 55 mils at the back, wasn't it, in the premium one? So God knows what weight that would be in my size. It would be absolutely ridiculous. So I think my days of trying these max cushioned, very heavy shoes are probably numbered. I just feel like I want to try it because it's a Nike, but it's just like so much shoe, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, it looks all right, doesn't it? And I like this colorway, but I don't know, sometimes you feel that Nike just, in their shoes, they want to add more and more weight to them and make them more sort of more lifestyle crossover shoes. When you actually getting used to like the Vaporfly 4 at 220 odd grams, and then you put this on 200 grams more nearly. You think, well, why do I need to carry around all that extra weight? What am I really doing? I think in this, it's a shoe that's so sort of cumbersome, I actually feel like I'm running abnormally a bit. And when I last wore it, it was quite a miserable sort of recovery run, so I haven't worn it since. So I think this one, yeah, I may have sort of already seen its day already after just 25 miles. Not great, is it? So the last one up today is actually in 18th place. This is the Streakfly. I've only done 17 miles in this. I feel this is quite a niche shoe. I wore this in the road mile at Bourton, and I've done a couple of sessions in it. I did a session in it the other day doing 4x150s, and I think I slightly tweaked my thigh. It feels like a mini pull, so I've had me to sort of take it easy for a week or two just to get back, recover from that. But yeah, I don't think the shoe was really to blame. I think I just accelerated around the bend, and I could have done it in any shoe. But this is easily the lightest shoe that I've got, and it's a very exciting shoe, as I say, but a shoe a bit like Spikes that I wear with a bit of caution. Having said that, I did actually go out and do some intervals with it, and I total about 9 miles. I'm slightly concerned about the fact that the heel was starting to peel away there a bit. Just noticed that when I pulled them out, but yeah, I mean, the shoe is meant to be as less as possible, so certainly not a shoe that you're going to be overly durable, as it were. And yeah, if you get a few good races out of it, so much the better. I know people like John Broome are liking this now for their 5Ks and that. I'm still thinking that actually for me, even though it's like a lot lighter than the Puma, I think the Puma just feels a bit more propulsive to me and a bit more supportive in, if that makes any sense. Whereas I think this shoe, it would be really fast out of the block, but whether actually, even in with a 5K, whether it just become a bit too minimalist. Having said that, there's quite a lot of foam here, and it's certainly not like a flat of old, but yeah, I just feel like you need to be a bit careful wearing this one, and I really might attribute some of my over-enthusiasm with those 4x150s to the fact that I was probably just trying to push that a bit too much, and perhaps I wasn't actually joining 800 meter speed that I was doing, more like I was almost flat out sprinting. I did about 25 for that 150. So what do you make of my list? How does that align with what you've been wearing? Perhaps I imagine not too many people have had their most used so far as the Vaporfly 4, but just goes to show that I'm a runner first of all, not really a shoe tuber, although I do like to sort of like waffle on about shoes now and again. Anyway, so I hope you found it interesting. Like and subscribe that, and see you next one then. Bye. Okay, bit of a note to Robin from Road to Trail here. I've done another 3.5 miles in the Endorphin Speed 5s. And we come across this water pump here and this derelict barn kind of outdoor area, come tractor, tyre, retirement home. And I think, yeah, Robin, you can imagine him just sort of appearing from here with a shoe half on one foot and half on the other, wouldn't you? And there's a pigeon flying off. Very nice little location, this Colemore village. It's absolutely peaceful, not near a pin drop almost. And you've got the church there in front of us. And earlier I was talking to a lady who'd come up to see the grave of her husband. She'd been married 60 years, she's 80, and he died 3 years ago. So, and yeah, she seemed to sort of take solace in this sort of peaceful area. And behind us here, we've got this long building here and a little post box, which is a Victoria Regina. So yeah, the whole place is very, very old. Amazing scene here. You can imagine this is like a Thomas Hardy scene. Like you can't see anything modern at all. And like coming down this path here from Colemore Village, you can sort of just wander into someone's sort of manicured garden here. It's amazing.